SMGs. They are the perfect weapon for those who love to be at the front. The type of person that takes the point for your squad to push forward into the enemy. If you're this kind of person, you're also probably the type of person that lives by the old idiom, spray and pray. Because you don't need to aim, you just get up close with that small caliber weapon and fill your enemy full of lead while firing from the hip. For these type of players, you'll want to stick around because today on Privateer Time, we'll be devoting our time to 3 SMGs that we've loved since we've gotten our hands on them, with hopes that this will convince you to try them out if you haven't already, and just maybe you'll be able to fall in love with these bullet-spewing weapons of death. Let's get this show started by revisiting the C54 Ballistic SMG from Gemini. Now, we've reviewed this weapon before, but since it's had some tweaks made to it since then, we thought it'd be a good weapon to get this list of 3 started. Easy to handle and a beauty to behold in its purple accented styling, the C54 is a sleek and precise balanced SMG from Gemini. Its lightweight polymer frame and ergonomic design make it ideal for close quarter engagements. The C54 is capable of firing 10mm rounds on full auto to provide maximum support and target saturation to ensure that any engagement ends quickly. The flavor text actually portrays this weapon a bit now, but does make it sound like the perfect weapon if you're planning to push forward with your boarding party or planning to be in a confined space where the number of enemies is limited. And perhaps it is. Well, that's really for you to decide, isn't it? But despite the fact that this isn't the OP gun that it once was when first released to the verse, it's still a solid gun. With a high rate of fire of 1,100 rounds per minute, this weapon unloads bullets at an astonishing speed that allows you to turn any target within range into confetti. Its low recoil and ease of use make it a good choice for any engagement that will be located in a cramped space, such as the interior of a cargo ship like the Caterpillar, or Connie series of ships. And while only being able to attach size 1 for barrel, optic, and underbarrel, it doesn't have the greatest options for customization, but at the same time it doesn't really need anything more than what it is. The weapon does have a few flaws still, but the one that needs to be addressed more than any other is the weapon's clip size. The gun's insane high rate of fire makes it deadly, but it also means it chews through ammo quickly, and it's easy to end up with an entire clip of 50 on one target without even realizing it, which only leaves you needing to reload far too often, and before you know it, you're out of ammo completely and left vulnerable. If you want to get your hands on this bullet-spewing demon, then you'll want to head over to Grimhex's Scudders, or on ArcCorp's gun shows, so there's also New Babbage's center mass, but we don't like to go to New Babbage these days. Next up, my personal favorite on this list, the Custodian Energy SMG from Caustic Arms. The Custodian SMG from Caustic Arms focuses on a high rate of fire over damage and accuracy, making it the ideal choice for sweeping through tight environments in close-quarter combat. This weapon is pretty much as advertised. While not as high of a rate of fire as the C54, it still has a solid 800 rounds per minute firing speed, and with its larger clip of 60 rounds, its ammunition management is significantly better than most other SMGs. But that's not really all there is to this weapon. It has a lot of impressive upsides to it. The large clip size, the solid rate of fire just being the main attraction. It also boasts a high accuracy when fired from the hip or when aiming down sight, and currently one of the only weapons with an alternative fire mode that's functional. And while not most, aesthetically pleasing weapon in the verse, it does come in an array of different skins that gives the wielder the chance to match this weapon to their favorite suit of armor. The full list of different skins and where to find them will be in the description down below. And as far as attachments go, just like the C54, it can only spot the size 1 for optics, barrel, and underbarrel. This feels limiting, but the weapon is capable of plenty even without all the fancy add-ons. Now with all the upsides though, like any weapon, it's going to have a drawback or two. For instance, the alternate fire. It's a bit of a letdown, to be honest. If it's charged up and let out at full power, it just fires a bunch of rounds at an increased rate of fire to its standard rate of fire. Now this sounds good in concept, but it's also just a waste of ammunition. If it's all going to get turned into one single bolt that packs an extra punch, that'd be more appealing. And the other thing to note is, this charged shot has no real visual indicator to let you know how much it's charged, other than the gun starting to vibrate violently in your grip, which drastically lowers your ability to aim the weapon. If you don't already own one because you haven't picked one up off the corpse of some poor guard or outlaw, or you just have been too lazy to grab one off the wall when you visit a gun store, I'd recommend heading to Grimhex's Scudder's HUR L-1 or L-5's live-fire weapons, or even ArcCorp's Cubby Blast, and grab yourself one of these beasts. The last weapon today's episode will be a bit of a hidden gem amongst the weapons on this list, the P8SC Ballistic SMG from Bering. When the top fighting force in the universe chooses a weapon as their standard, it pays to stand up and take notice. The Bering-crafted P8SC has been the ballistic submachine gun of choice for the UEE Marines since it first came off the production line. But since then, many come to rely on this weapon for their own personal safety and protection. Despite being made for the UEE originally, I think the Verse should be happy to have this weapon, and if not ending up an exclusive weapon for them, sporting the same 800 rounds per minute that the Custodian does, but with a smaller clip. This SMG has not failed to impress so far in testing for this review. But what's so impressive of a military standard issue weapon? Well, that's simple. Despite only supporting a 45 round clip, the smallest in this list in fact, it packs the biggest punch, needing fewer rounds than either gun shown before to bring enemies to heel. And it has probably the most accuracy in fact. With a tight spread and low recoil, it's effective at both close and medium range engagements, giving it an advantage when fighting confined spaces such as a small operating post building's tight quarters, but also allowing in the versatility of being useful when fighting in long corridors, like on the Carrack's main hallways. Also, just like the Custodian, this weapon has a few different skins to choose from, and like before, those will be listed in the description below. For attachments, it's more of the same size one for all 3 slots, and really for SMGs, this seems to be normal, so in future reviews we may just skip over even mentioning them when reviewing an SMG, unless it has something different than the universal standard. And there really isn't much that's lacking or needing improvement on this gun at the end of the day. If anything, one could argue it could use a bigger clip, but that's true of any weapon, especially when it comes to one that performs as well as this one does. 'Cause really, we tried it and we really can't find anything wrong with this weapon. It's probably the best SMG one can have their hands on right now. If you'd love to mimic the UEE Navy and make this impressive SMG your personal go-to weapon, or maybe even make it your org's standard issue gun, then you'll want to head over to Grimhex's Scudder's, live-fire weapons import Olisar, or HUR L-1, along with ArcCorp's Cubby Blast or New Babbage's Center Mass store. Hey, thanks for watching. Remember to hit like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're not with us yet, and hit that little bell icon if you want to get updates in the future. Now, until next time, remember that your local bounty hunters are an excellent source of sodium, so fly fast and laugh into the stars. Also, special thank you to Ricardo Gonzalez for the new music that you made for us to use with our videos. If you'd like to take a listen to more of his music, please find the link in the description below.